Hello, PLMS. Today we're going to be graphing an equation. Specifically, we can graph a proportional relationship or direct variation in a coordinate plane using an XY table, or you're going to hear a table of values. Note, you can use a table of values to graph a linear equation when the equation is in the form y is equal to kx. When you see the equation y is equal to kx, that is direct variation. All direct variation equations go through the origin, which is the point 0, 0. So when you're graphing, you should expect it to go through the origin. If it doesn't, then something went wrong in terms of mathematics in your table of values. So that's a good way to make sure you're on the right track. All direct variation equations are proportional. Proportional means that they're traveling at the same rate of change, which is in turn while we have a line. And it's proportional because it goes through the origin. Complete the table, then graph. So our equation is y is equal to 5x. The table of values just means to choose something for x and then to choose something for y. Well, in this case, and in all the cases today, then you're going to be given x in terms of the notes. You're going to be given those options. So you don't have to determine x and then in order to determine your y, those x's are going to be given for you. But note that if you are given, if it just says graph using a table of values, you can choose any number for x. And be kind to yourself. Stay down around 0 because you don't want the numbers to be that large because you are going to have to graph the points. And we don't want to just use an appropriate scale. We want to just have one line for every number. So we want to use small numbers. So all you do is simply substitute in for the variable of x. So we know that y is equal to 5x means y is equal to 5 times negative 1, because we know that when we have a number and a variable, or a coefficient and a variable side by side, that simply means to multiply. So 5 times negative 1 gives me a negative 5, and then we continue that process. So y is equal to 5 times, this time x is 0, which is going to give me a 0. We know that anything times 0 is always 0. Y is equal to 5 times, this time, x is 1. That's going to give me a 5. And then last but not least, we've got y is equal to 5 times 2, or 10. Oh, I also noticed that these numbers are consecutive. My x's are consecutive, so I should also expect to be counting by the same number. That's what we mean by proportional. Now, negative 1, negative 5 is an ordered pair. So we go to the origin, and we're going to go back negative 1, and we're going to go down 1. Let me mark it. So that's negative 1, and then down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That is the point negative 1, negative 5. And you don't have to label that, just make the point on your coordinate plane. My second point is 0, 0. Check that off. And then 1, 5. 1, 5 means x. This is the x and this is the y. So x is 1. So we go over 1 and then we go up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then last but not least, we've got 2, 10. So once again, always start at the origin. I'm going to check that off. Go over 1, 2, and then up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And you may have guessed that 10 would be that top point. And then I'm just going to erase what I wrote in here. All right, so step 1 is to plot the points. I can easily see that these points are in a line, and you're going to need to use a straight edge in order to to complete the assignment today. So I'm just going to, ooh, that's going to be pretty thick. Let me use a different one. I'm going to use this line here. And we want our line, even though I only have 4 points on the coordinate plane, I want my line to go through the entire coordinate plane, and I want to make sure that it has arrows at either end. So I would like for you to do the same thing. And that's all you have it. So step 1 is to substitute in the values of x. In this case, your x's were given to you, so you're just doing the math. You're saying, or substituting in 5 times negative 1. That's going to give you the y. So when x is negative 1, y is negative 5. Then substitute in 0, you get 0. so on and so forth. Once you know the points, this is actually an ordered pair. -1, -5 is an ordered pair. 0, 0, 1, 5, 2, 10. Once you have the points plotted, then you're just going to connect using a straight edge, and you're going to make a line. Let's look at our second example. Y is equal to -2x. So this equation is in the form y is equal to kx, which you saw back on our first slide. And so we can just substitute in the -3 for x. So I'm substituting in. So y is equal to -2 times -3. We know that a negative times a positive is, I'm sorry, a negative times a negative gives us a positive. Y is equal to -2 times -1. It's 2. We know that it's going to be 0 because anything times 0 is 0. Y is equal to -2 times 2. That gives us a -4. And these become our ordered pair. So my ordered pair is -3, 6, -1, 2, 0, 0, and 2, -4. -3, 6 means to start, you always start at the origin if it helps to go ahead and label your axes for you. So down, or I'm sorry, back 1, 2, 3, and then up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and plot the point. So start at the origin. -3 means left on the x, and then up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 on the y. And you can go ahead and plot your points, -1, 2. We know that it goes through the origin. So if something went wrong and you don't have a 0, 0 point, then something is wrong because all of these equations that you graphed today should go through the origin. And then the last point is 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, once I have my points plotted, then I need a straight edge. So I'm going to pick up my straight edge and I'm going to use that to connect the points. Make sure that your line goes through the entire coordinate plane, including your origin. That's very, very important for today. And that you have arrows at the end of your line. And so in other words, you don't want it just to go through like from here to here, which is where your points were. You want it to go through the entire coordinate plane. Entire coordinate plane meaning that it crosses all of what we can see on your axes or on your coordinate plane. Our last example is y is equal to 1/2 x. And again, the x's have been given to you, but if the x's aren't given, you're going to choose numbers. I chose numbers in this case that would make this easy to deal with because it is a fraction. So I wanted to eliminate or get rid of the fraction so it's easier to graph. So I chose numbers that are multiples of 2. So you'll notice that, and that's going to get rid of the fraction. We'll be happy about that when it's time to graph. So y is equal to 1/2 times -4. That's going to give me a -2. See how that works? Y is equal to 1/2 times 0. We know that's going to be 0. Y is equal to 1/2 times 2. Well, that's going to just give me a 1. And then y is equal to 1/2 of 4, and that's going to be 2. Now I know my ordered pairs, -4, -2, 0, 0, 2, 1, 4, 2. I would like you to stop the video now and go ahead and plot the points and try to graph this one on your own. When you are finished, then you can come back and check your work. Welcome back. I hope that your line looks like mine and that you also remembered to put arrows at either end. I hope you enjoyed your lesson today on learning to graph direct variation. Don't forget that all of your graphs should go through the origin.